IIT is giving you an opportunity with. There are many different things that you could do. And for that, it's just that you have to work towards it if they're not readily available to you. But
Yeah.
Sure. So is everyone from bachelors or are there other people as well?
Yeah, we are bachelors.
Okay.
All-
अरे मतलब बीटेक वाले ही हैं सब.
yeah. Yeah, that only. Better guys.
So I finished my BTech in 2012. I think none of you were there at that time. So during my time there, I did my internship after my second year at Oxford, and then went on to Yale after my third year, and continuing my research from Oxford because one of the professors who was visiting from Yale was at Oxford after my second year. After that, I started my PhD at Yale. I did it in applied mathematics, focusing on geophysics and astrophysics. And then last year, I finished my PhD and joined a startup in New York. It's a financial technology startup. And we're looking at a lot of data sets and applying machine learning and data science to it. So that would be a brief introduction from my side. If you guys want, I can provide details about any part of this, or I can provide you more details about my time at IIT or how and why I decided to go on to research and PhD after my
Yeah, actually, like
bachelor.
our first question was something on that lines only. Like in our campus, this is like more of focus on industry. Like everybody wants to like join industry. So like, how did you like get into this like research field? And like, I would like to tell people like in the second year, like he had got intern in Oxford, and you have gotten in the second year you have got to Oxford, and in the third year you got to Yale. So like this, how this like apart from the industry, how did you have like interest in it, and how did you proceed with it?
I think the interest role. So we just. I remember that during our second year we were looking at internship applications, so just trying out if there are any opportunities. And I saw that there was a really good opportunity at Oxford for dynamical system theory, which basically involved a lot of ODEs and numerical simulations. And that was really of interest to me. And so when I got selected and went there, I really liked the research environment in terms of you have a lot of independence to do what you want to do rather than someone telling you that you should just finish this job in 1 month and then like what you have in industry. So, that really motivated me to continue into research. So my time at Oxford was really, I would say, the key that motivated me to go into research. And after that, yeah, that was set. And after that, I just went on to Yale because one of my professors at Oxford was from Yale, and he invited me. And yeah, I think the part my time at Oxford was really the key point or the key turning point in my life. And I would say that with respect to industry, the difference is that I felt that it's more of independence. So if you're passionate about something in the sense that you want to do either, it doesn't have to be sciences. It can be, by sciences, I mean, it doesn't have to be physical sciences. It can be mathematics, pure mathematics, or even finance or anything. If you're interested in doing or learning more about it and you want to pursue a master's or PhD, I would suggest that it's a really good thing. And yeah, you should at least do a master's. I would say that. But yeah, it all depends on what your interests are.
So like So like, was it pre-decided that you wanted to do PhD just after you graduate, or like it was developed by doing some theoretical or practical courses here in IITG? Like,
So because of my time at Oxford and Yale, like I said, I was really motivated to do research, and that's why I um, took my bachelor's thesis project. Uh, I did it with Professor Jiten Kalita on fluid dynamics, so which was more of a research base, which I knew would help me into going into my PhD. So I think that uh, I once I knew that I'll be doing a PhD directly after my bachelor's. So I started taking courses more that would help me in the long run. And similarly, that was the case for my BTP or my bachelor's thesis project. Apart from that, I think uh, there weren't any specific courses at IIT that I took, um, but I think it was just knowing that what I wanted to do.
so like here, let's talk about the second year intern at Oxford. Then what was like, how did you get that? And because Oxford, like even listening to that in the second year, it's itself big achievement. Like after the second year, so like how did you secure it?
Um, I think we're just looking at where one of the professors forwarded us an opportunity that there's an opening in Oxford and people are ready to apply. And looking at the problem statements, so they had proposed, I think, 10 or 12 problem statements, and you could choose one or two and write a proposal and submit it along with a letter of recommendation. Um, and so we did that, and I guess I got lucky that I got that opportunity. Um, but yeah, I mean, I would say I got lucky.
Okay, so let's talk about the mathematics, like what we get taught by in IITG, and the
Hmm.
mathematics you did in the PhD. Like there's a
Hmm.
difference. So can you explain in that part? Okay, even here also like we feel they are theoretical. So what's the difference of what you are doing in a PhD?
I think that's true. Uh, I think the difference that I felt was that, um, I mean, you're right that uh, at IIT it was a lot more theoretical, and I think that's because we were studying uh, all the different courses at the same time, whether it's coming from pure math or applied math or even financial mathematics, right? Whether we're looking at financial engineering or stochastic calculus or some statistical analysis or complex analysis, real analysis, things like that, right? Or numerical computation. So because we're studying a lot of things at the same time, it felt that we weren't really getting an opportunity to apply to some actual domain. Um, Whereas because during my PhD, your whole uh, every course you take uh, is geared towards how you can apply that knowledge for your PhD project, right? Your thesis. So I think that's the difference, because then you're only looking at courses. You don't have a specific curriculum to follow. You can choose your own courses to take, and you don't have to take 5 or 8 courses a semester. You can take 3 courses, and so you can really focus on your research and whatever you're learning during your uh, in your courses. You can apply that directly to your research. Apart from that, I felt that the courses in applied math, I mean ODs and PDs and discrete mathematics, graph theory, they also really helped in my internships as well, internship projects. Um, as well as during my bachelor's thesis project as well. So some of these courses were really helpful. I mean, we weren't getting a chance to apply to them during the course itself, but these courses were helping me during my internship projects and my thesis project.
So like we are not taking a question from the audience. So
Mhm.
if yeah, so we have a question from the audience. So
Sure.
Hello, Bhaiya, it's Kuldeep. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi, Kuldeep.
Yeah. Bhaiya, you went to Oxford in your second year. Most of the students here who are in second year are either not interested in research, or they have no idea about research, or they are just about interested in industrial because of the big packages or whatever. So I want to ask that you went to Oxford, not even in our Indian university. You just went top of the notch university. How did you get
Okay.
interested in that research point? How did you get interested that I want to apply for research, and what was the process that you went through while applying for Oxford? Like, did you get any help from your professors, or I just want to know the background process that went when you were in
So
second year.
actually, one of the reason I applied for Oxford was that uh, I wasn't sure that whether I want to do uh, go for masters or PhD after that, or go into industry. So first of all, I just wanted to try something out. So that was one reason that uh, I shouldn't be just focused on getting a job after my bachelor's and just going into earning money. And I wanted to. There was a part of me that wanted to study more, uh, and so that was another reason why I thought that yes, Oxford could be a good opportunity if I got into that. So and so that was one. Apart from that, uh, I think it was Professor who teaches computational finance or computational biology, Siddhant Chakraborty, or is that am I remembering him right? Um,
yeah.
yeah. So I think he was yeah he I think he was the one who forwarded us the application, and then we a lot of us applied actually from our branch, and two of us got into or got that opportunity.
So like you did PhD in pure mathematics, right?
Applied.
Applied mathematics. So
Mhm.
like so how it's like in the lines of the AI, like you are doing startup, the actor of,
Yeah.
as the actor of AI. So how did it streamline towards it?
So actually, during my PhD, a lot of it was not. I didn't take many courses on machine learning, but I mean, first of all, artificial intelligence is a buzzword. It's not actual science. The only science is machine learning behind it. And machine learning involves a lot of statistical analysis. It's more about extrapolations and getting insights or extracting insights as much as you can from your given data sets. And then it's more mathematical than computer science or any other science for that matter. So if you're good in mathematics and statistics, I think you would be really good at machine learning if you're interested in that. Um, and a lot of my PhD thesis work involved uh, this in a sense that was looking at time series data sets for geophysical data sets, looking at uh, trying to detect exoplanets or planets outside the solar system, and developing mathematical methods for that. And this involved a lot of looking at lots of data sets, and trying to build your own insights and seeing whether or not these things pan out or not. Uh, and so I think that experience, or my thesis project, my PhD thesis project, I think really helped me understand this field of machine learning. I mean, AI is nothing; it's just a buzzword, but machine learning in itself is just mathematical modeling and statistical modeling of different underlying problems.
So like it's a personal question from mine. So like
Mm-hmm.
right now there's very boom of MOOCs in like Udacity, Coursera, which have like machine learning courses, different varieties of courses. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking like what's the difference in these, like doing courses on these website of like doing BTech and not pursuing a master or a PhD. Like you have did the PhD. So what
Mm-hmm.
difference it makes, like a guy who has done a PhD in this field and a guy who is undergraduate and doing some online courses?
I think it's the tenuous process of going through a PhD because I mean, right? I mean, even in during a bachelor's, we take a lot of courses, 7 to 8 courses a semester, but you're not really applying them in the sense of really applying them to real world problems, right? When I can take a course, I can take as many courses as I want, but until and unless I get my hands dirty, I'm really applying that knowledge to a real life problem, right? it, that intuition, you don't develop that intuition just by taking that course. uh, so I think that differentiates this just taking a course to doing a project in a real world problem, whether it's uh, it can be in any domain for that matter, right? It doesn't have to be geophysics or any physical sciences, but yeah, that's the difference, I think.
So, like after the research intern in second and third year, did you think
Mhm.
about placement, or was it clear that you had to go for the research?
I
Is a question from
did.
the audience.
Yeah, I did apply. I mean, I got my offer from Yale in somewhere around December for my PhD. But uh, as good that was, I mean, everybody wants to sit in placement, so I sat in placement as well. But that was only after a certain period of time.
So, is life in New York inherently better than India, or do you think about moving back here? It was a favorite
Um,
question.
Life in New York is really good and crowded. It's very crowded. It's very fast. It is. I mean, it is what everyone hears to be. It's not. I'm not exaggerating that. Uh, Time flies, and everyone is in a hurry. But I think the good part is that you're meeting a lot of people who are really trying to pursue things that they want to, rather than following someone else. Uh, and I think that independent thinking and entrepreneurship is good in case you want to do something on your own, or right. At least for me, I feel like uh, I cannot do things that someone else asks me to do, in the sense that if they just tell me that I want this done in 2 days or 3 days, I would just outrightly say that no, I'll not be doing this. So I think, but that's me personally. um, so yeah, and I mean, New York is New York. It's very busy. It's very yeah, time flies. Been there for 6 months, and I have no idea how that went.
Okay, so one question from the audience.
Mhm.
Hello, Bhaiya, it's Rakshit here. Uh,
Hi, Rakshit.
yeah, so I have got a question from most of the fourth yearites. Is like that
Mhm.
the people didn't go for an intern in the second year, and then third year also they went to the industry side. So does it hamper
Mhm.
your chances when you go for an MS or a PhD, maybe after a few years?
Um, no, it doesn't. A lot of people in our batch came after, at least for masters. I know for a fact that a lot of people went for jobs and then applied for masters, and I think that is also a good way to pursue things. Because I mean, right, I did my education first and then went for a job, but you could do it the other way around as well. you try a job out and see whether or not it's working out for you. And if you want to study more, learn more things, or do some specialization, so then you can go for a master's or a PhD. So I think that's fine as well. The only reason I felt, I think the difference is that once you get in the job mindset and you start earning money, it's very hard to go back to education or to go back to classes and taking exams and things like that, right? I think it's that mindset. I mean, that if I'm earning some X amount of money, will I be able to let go of it for 3 or 4 years or 2 or 3 years? Right. So, and that's especially true for, I would say, as for the Indian mindset, where your families are um, maybe they're dependent on you, or they want you to go to Microsoft or Google right after uh, your bachelor's and just keep uh, printing notes, I would say. But yeah, I think that's the difference I feel between doing education first and then going to industry versus going into industry and then going for a master's or PhD. But it doesn't hamper your chances into getting into a program, because all they're looking for is how motivated you are, how good recommendation letters you have, and how good projects you have done. It actually doesn't depend. People and professors never look at your GRE scores as long as you have passed the minimum, right? You don't have to score 750 or anything like that. As long as you've passed the minimum and you're really motivated in what you want to do and you have good recommendation letters, I think it's fine with that. You'll be fine with that.
So yeah, like, can you give us a brief experience you have gone through in doing your PhD, like, or how the PhD like?
Uh, it was good and somewhat tenuous at the end, mainly because you have, right. So it was good in the sense that you didn't have any financial pressure for your education, right? You get your stipend, and so from that side, as well as the good side again was that you're independent in what you want to do as your thesis project, what courses you want to take, where you want to take your life professionally, right? That if I want to take some end course, and at least at Yale, an excellent thing was that you could take a course in any department, not just math. So I took courses in physics, in economics, and what are the astrophysics or astronomy department. Um, you could take a course in biology. You could take a course at the MBA school or the med school, or any course that's available under as a graduate course under Yale University, right? So I think that was also really good that you're not restricted by anything. It all depends on you in terms of what you want to do rather than something that's fixed a priori. So that was really good part. And then because I was looking at, I was actually studying North Polar ice caps. So I mean, it was a lot of geophysics, um, and I was also looking at astrophysics. So that project in itself was really interesting to me personally, because we were looking at the problems that we were solving actually affected daily life of everyone in terms of climate change, because we're looking at the effect of climate change on melting of ice uh, at the polar caps. So I could see that my research was related to actual real life problems rather than being more theoretical, rather than being a theoretical PhD. So it was really practical, and so that also helped me in choosing these projects and working towards them. Apart from that, I think the tenuous part at the end is when you're trying to decide your future steps, and and at the same moment you're also finishing writing your thesis, because you have to. It's not like your bachelor's thesis project where you can just copy a lot of things from the internet or somewhere else. So you have to write a lot of your work, and even during a thing I liked about PhD. Another thing I liked about PhD was taking ownership of your work, where you're publishing papers in very reputed international journals, and you're getting recognition for that, right? So, whereas I feel that if, for example, if I'm working in Amazon or Microsoft, then you don't get the same level of recognition. Whereas in academia, I think that really helps you. You get that recognition, right? So there's a trade-off between getting that recognition versus getting money or salary. So that was also good for me, and I like that. And yeah, and then there was a lot of writing, submitting your thesis, but that's a part of it.
So like I was going through your LinkedIn profile, and I was going through your LinkedIn profile, and just wondering what does your company Accrete.AI do, and what's your role in that company as a director of AI, and what's are the chances of getting someone hired from IITG from our batch?
So first of all, we are actively looking for people who want to do internships in machine learning or software development, and full-time roles as well. So just in case if anyone is interested, they can reach out to me. So what we do is we extract insights from unstructured data sets. So for example, each public company publishes an earnings call every quarter, right? There's a quarterly report that a company files, for example, in the US with SEC. It's a US body, or even in India, there are quarterly reports that how did a company perform in that quarter, and how would it perform, and what is it expecting in the next quarter, and so on and so forth. So a lot of financial modeling is only based on your stock prices or your option prices, and looking at calls and puts, and basically doing this analysis on structured data sets or your numerical data set. But people don't necessarily look at these texts and images and videos, right? So that's where we're focusing on in terms of trying to extract insights from unstructured data sets, looking at doing a lot of natural language processing, and developing our in-house deep learning frameworks, and it can be any sort of machine learning, whether it's we develop neural networks, in-house neural networks, or some sort of random forest techniques, or gradient boosting. It's a lot of machine learning and AI for text. We also, one other product that we have is looking at mergers and acquisitions. So for example, if company A wants to buy company B, right? Or actually not wants to buy, but there is a rumor in the market that a company A may buy company B. So the stock price of company B would go up, mainly because people are interested in buying that company, right? So that was the hypothesis. At least that was the hypothesis in the beginning. And so we do a lot of web crawling and scraping. So looking at sources on the internet, right? Whether it's Twitter or news outlets or any other things, where we surface these rumors which help us which again is a unique data set in the sense that no one looks at it until Wall Street Journal or New York Times has published that Apple is going to buy Netflix, or Apple may buy Spotify, or things like that, right? And so these market moving rumors also allow you to make a lot of good trading strategies in the financial domain. So so it combines a lot of natural language processing in terms of how that rumor looks like as a proper sentence versus, let's say, how it would be converted to some numerics. And so there are a lot of machine learning. There is a lot of machine learning going on there. And then we're also getting a lot of projects from different corporates. So, for example, people in oil industry, they want to use our technologies to do competitor analysis in terms of looking at what their competitors are doing, or people in, for example, even big companies like. So I'm actually doing a workshop with JP Morgan in end of May, early June, where they invited us to give a workshop on natural language processing and machine learning in financial domain. So that, I mean, all these things are basically because people have up until now ignored these data sets, ignored texts and speeches and things like that have been known to affect stock prices, but people haven't actually looked at those or quantified these things. And so that, I think that's where the market is going to be, because your amount of data is increasing exponentially every day, right? People are going on the internet and doing a lot of things. They're doing a lot of writings in terms of blogs, and that's just the public data set. And then the other data set is that what the companies are publishing during press releases or intra-quarterly or quarterly reports or performance reports and things like that. So that also, from that also, you can get a lot of insight into how company is performing and basically allow you to develop excellent trading strategies on that. So if anyone is interested in software development on machine learning and has some experience with that, we are looking for full-time roles as well as internships.
So we have a question from our audience.
Mm-hmm.
We have a question from an audience.
Hi, Bhaiya. Bhaiya, you were quite involved in hockey during your time here in college. So, do you still play sports now, or has life been really busy with PhD and job and all?
No, I loved hockey there, and I do play a lot of sports here as well. So at Yale, I played a lot of squash and table tennis, and here I play a lot of. And in New York, I play a lot of squash when I get the time. But yeah, it's good to have something apart from work.
Hello.
Yeah.
Bhaiya, so there's one more question from a fourth year, right? That what are the difference in opportunities in research, particularly in New York and in Europe?
I think the main difference, master's is the same, but if you're doing a PhD, then in US, your PhD is around 5 years, and that includes a master as well. Whereas I think in Europe, you do a master's first and then go on to a PhD program. And so those are separate programs in Europe. whereas in the US, it's just a single program where you get a master's en route to your PhD. Apart from that, I think, again, research is research. So that doesn't change. And because a lot of these universities, or at least because you do attend a lot of conferences, international conferences during your PhD or masters, you at least you can attend these conferences if you want to. You get to meet a lot of people from around the world who are doing research in your field, and so I think that is also a really good thing if you want to. If you want to have new ideas or know how people are doing research in other parts of the world, whether it's Europe or Asia um, or North America or anywhere in the world for that matter.
Yeah, we have a question from a first year right here.
Mm-hmm.
1 second.
Hi there, I am Vishish.
Hi, Vishesh.
Where to what extent one should know about theoretical machine learning for having an upper hand on applied machine learning?
So for that, I always say that, I mean, during any interview that I'm looking at, right, for any position that I'm hiring for, there's a difference between, I would say, a machine learning engineer versus machine learning scientist. An engineer, in my opinion, knows what third-party libraries or open source libraries are available to me, and he or she can use that library. But I feel that they wouldn't be able to develop upon that library. Whereas if you have a good theoretical basis as well, and you know how things work on a mathematical level, not only you can use that technology or use that model, but also go further and develop your own or better models that would be suited to your own problem, rather than depending on someone else to build a model first and then you just use that model for your data set.
Okay, so
Does that make sense?
yeah, he's happy, I guess. So, do we have any more questions from the audience? Any other question? In New York and England. London. So we have a question from fourth year, right? What is the difference between the work life in New York and London?
I think not much of a difference. First of all, you don't have, at least when I was at Oxford or at Yale, right? Because you're into research, you don't have a fixed working hour, right? Fixed working hours. You don't have to be at the department at 9 o'clock in the morning and leave at 5 o'clock. Right? So you have that sort of independence. It all depends on the work, right? So as long as you're doing your work, as long as you're progressing, making some progress, right? It doesn't matter if I went to the department or not. I mean, I worked at, I sat at coffee shops a lot. I went to coffee shops a lot to do a lot of reading or working on my laptop or things like that, right? So I didn't have to go be in my office, so to speak, to do work, right? So you have that independent mindset that you're not constrained by anything. And that was true for both UK and Yale. And even at the startup that I'm at, right? We don't expect people to be at the office at 9 a.m. And go home at 5 p.m. And rather than that, we want people to be really motivated in terms of, and really passionate about in terms of what they're doing and deliver results rather than just showing their faces at the office.
Okay, so any other questions from the audience? Any other thing? So
We are wrapping it now. So any question from my audience? Like it will be a compliment. Anyone?
so so I believe so far it was very formal talk. Any fun memory from the institute, particularly and particular department that you want to share with all of us? Anything?
Are there any professors there?
Sadly, no.
No, so that's good. No, I mean, we had a lot of good teachers at IIT, but we also used to make a lot of fun. And I mean, we did a lot of cool things that I'm not going to disclose here. Uh, but I think some of the most enjoyable parts for me were on the hockey field and in hostels. I mean, department was good. Because we were, I think we were the third batch. Yeah, I think we were the third batch, so we had a lot of uh, changes going on, and some we liked, some we didn't like. That was part and parcel of the whole thing. But it is good. I miss that.
Any advice you would like to give us? Anything? Any insight you want to
I
share?
would say that anyone should just do what they're passionate about rather than following someone else. It may take some time, but to realize what you really want to do. But in the end, I think you would be happy. So follow happiness rather than money. It's important to be happy first. Otherwise, nothing matters, right? If you're not satisfied and happy. And you're still, I mean, I know, I mean, being through the phase that everyone is in the room, there's a lot of time. You're still, I mean, you're still very young, and you still have a lot of time to learn many new things and go on many different directions rather than just going into software development or machine learning or some specific role that uh, IIT is giving you an opportunity with. There are many different things that you could do. And for that, it's just that you'll have to work towards it if they're not readily available to you. But you should realize what you want to do and basically go focus towards that.
So thank you so much, Bhaiya, for joining in, and I hope it was a good experience for you as well. Just it was like for all of us, and surely you will get a lot of mails in the coming days uh, after this session.
Sure. Yeah.
So those are
If
points I
anyone
mentioned.
is interested in software development or machine learning, feel free to contact me for internship or full-time roles, and I'll see what I can do.
Thank you, Bhaiya. Thank you so much.